The size and scale of what just happened has literally never been seen before in the crypto market. Let's break down where it all went wrong, where we can pick up the pieces, and I want to explain to you why. If you're still here, if you still have capital to deploy, if you haven't been wiped out like everyone else, this is potentially a generational opportunity to make serious gains in this market. Let's get into it. So look at this. The entire crypto market is in the gutter. Bitcoin absolutely fell through the floor. Currently down about 8.74% from all-time highs. Or at the bottom of this candle, we were down at $107,000, down some 15% from the former all-time high that we put in just a couple of days ago. Now we knew that there was serious long liquidation risk in this market. In fact, there was serious long and short liquidation risk in this market, and that was being played off on both sides. But if you have a look at the liquidation heat map, we can see a historic $19.2 billion worth of liquidations over the last 24 hours, and that includes 16.74 billion with a B long positions wiped out of the market, liquidated from the market. If you have a look at the liquidation map now, you can see there is essentially next to no long leverage left in the market. What was the catalyst that sparked this off? The catalyst was Trump announcing or threatening up to 130% tariffs on China. And you can see this affected the stock market as well, okay? The S&P is down, trading at $6,513. We are down some 4% from all-time highs, and that is just in one daily candle. In a matter of hours, in fact, the S&P slipped nearly 4%. And just look at that in the context of other down days that we've had in the market. That is absolutely wild for just a couple of hours' time. Now, we had this news out on a Friday evening just before market close. Pretty interesting and pretty similar to situations that we've had in the past with big tariff war news like this coming out. And I'll be very curious to see what happens come Monday, because obviously markets are closed over the weekend. But if we zoom in a little bit, we can see exactly how this played out. So last night we were talking about how I thought there was a decent chance that we saw some more downside before we started seeing some upside in the market. We identified this level to the upside as being essentially the next point of interest to the upside in the context of looking for moves to the downside. You can see we came and broke that level and then broke down from there really quite nicely. Smashed through this low, which was at the time consequential because it was a structural low, and a break of that would confirm the downtrend that we've been in since the all-time high. We broke through the next most important lows to the downside, which were part of the uptrend that we've been in before that all-time high. And you can see, again, a nice clean break of that. Little spike to the upside, and then we just started rolling off, and the market melted away as we got that news catalyst out, and then as we started to liquidate, once again, pretty much every single leverage long position that we had in the market at the time. That is the biggest single liquidation event that Bitcoin has seen in its history, and it is the single biggest liquidation event that we've seen in the history of the crypto markets. A few things to take away from this. Okay, first of all, we are not wrecked. We are not part of that historic liquidation event, and that is because of very careful risk management. Now, as I explained yesterday, I had bids in the book staggered out so that I could average into long positions because we were expecting a slip. Now, I'll be totally honest, we weren't expecting a slip last night to this degree. Although, let me play you a little clip from one of my previous videos earlier this week where we did say we were targeting potentially 110K for our first short position. $50. Main target for this, $110,000. We could go even lower than that. I'll probably take some profits out before then. Now, I'm not playing that clip to say, I got this absolutely right, I called it from the start. That's not fair at all, okay? I did get out of that position early and long before we started breaking down quite that far. And the reason for that was the breakdown wasn't happening at the time exactly as we had expected. And that is a risk management decision-making process. The point is, we did see that setup forming because of the long leverage in the market, and we did see that this initial move up from lows was pretty much precipitated and driven by short liquidations, and essentially this happened way too quickly, which is why a reversal of that move didn't seem off the cards at all. Of course, no one really saw this catalyst coming in the form of new Trump tariff threats, but The setup was there, and those tariff threats were essentially the spark that set the fire going. And on the subject of risk management, I am still positioned. So if you watched yesterday's video, you will see that the lowest bids that we had in the market were down here at $115,300. And that puts us at an average entry price of $117,875. We are currently down $2,185 on that position, but most crucially, we are not liquidated. We are still in the game, okay? That is a relatively small position size, relatively low leverage, so 0.4 BTC on 5x leverage, and this account is worth, net of that unrealized loss, we're still worth $11,400. So relative to the account size, the position size is small, and we're nowhere near being liquidated, okay? We are not part of the mass liquidations, this historical mass liquidation event that we saw over the last few hours, and that is down to good risk management. That is down to sensible position sizing. Now, I won't lie to you, I am bitterly disappointed that I didn't have more of those Hail Mary bids further down the book. I did have this bid in here, as I mentioned, at 115,000, but clearly that was not low enough to take advantage of the full size of this wick. But we're still down massively from all-time highs, okay? Especially some of the alts are down even further, right? Solana down at $187. XRP down at $2.37. This is a massive opportunity market-wide, okay? And like, as we know, S&P down about 4%. This is essentially a massive sale for absolutely anything with a ticker symbol. $1.65 trillion wiped out from the US stock market today. Take a look at this post from Max Crypto. This was a well-planned, well-coordinated dump, okay? Theorizing, as we've been alluding to in the last couple of videos, that there was some market manipulation going on here, potentially. It's certainly in the interests of big buyers to be looking for lower prices, and they do have the ability to bully the market down, particularly when there is a lot of leverage in the market, as we've seen over the last few weeks. It's much easier for them to bully prices down to those liquidation levels and then get overextensions of moves exactly like what we've seen. Like Trump announcing 100% or up to 130% tariffs after US market close. Alts dumping, some alts dumping 60 to 70% in individual candles. And Max Crypto is saying, I am certain that some very large entities have got their orders filled here. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw a V-shaped reversal and parabolic rally next. And Ash Crypto tweeting here, this is a crypto reset. Literally all longs liquidated. Okay, that is true. This is the biggest proof that the stage is being set for a massive parabolic pump. And look at this comment. How can you be bullish after this shit? That to me epitomizes the retail mindset, and that epitomizes why this is such a big opportunity. As we know, serious investors like to buy when the market is fearful. They like to be greedy when the market is fearful. Can you imagine a more fearful situation for retail than right now? $19 billion worth of positions liquidated out of the market. Bitcoin down 15.3% from all-time highs, when those all-time highs were put in just a couple of days ago. As I said earlier, this is a massive sale for not just Bitcoin, not just crypto, but pretty much anything with a ticker symbol, okay? S&P down nearly 4%. We know that big institutions love buying on these crashes, and we have not seen a crash quite like this in the history of the markets. Furthermore, if we take a look at the liquidation map right now, there are no more longs in the market, and there is a lot of short liquidation risk to the upside. Look at how this pans out in almost a perfect straight line, okay, all the way up to short liquidation risk of somewhere in the region of $1 billion to the upside. Obviously, that seems small compared to the unprecedented $19 billion worth of positions that we've seen liquidated through the last couple of hours. But nonetheless, look at the difference here. There are essentially no more longs left to liquidate and only shorts from here. Now, that is not to say that we couldn't slip a little bit further. Okay, we've seen that this morning since I started making this video already. Things are going to remain very volatile for a while from here, but I am absolutely looking to buy up both spots and short-term leverage positions, and not just in Bitcoin, but across the major alts as well. And we could absolutely see a situation unfolding pretty soon where once this big money starts flowing into all these discounted cryptos, we start liquidating some of those short positions, and that causes even more buying pressure onto the market. And we could potentially come up from this just as fast as we went down. Look, I sincerely hope that you weren't totally wiped out by this situation. Unfortunately, the odds are that pretty much everybody in the market has been affected negatively by this. But hopefully, you're still here, you're still in the game, and you're able to capitalize on this momentous opportunity that is afforded to us by a drop like that happening in such a short period of time. In any case, absolutely nothing that I say should be considered financial advice. This is purely my opinion shared with you for entertainment only. Stay safe out there, plenty more to come. Catch you in the next one.